Hello, my friends, and welcome to a special episode of the Plot Twist podcast. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through all of my winter sweaters. I'm going to show you all the sweaters that I've knit for the season of winter, which I've now piled up on a chair beneath me. It's not as many as I thought, but more than I need to keep me warm during the very cold season. And since we are now transitioning out of that and into spring, for good, I want to say, I think, I can definitely move on to a little bit of a lighter wardrobe and pull out some different sweaters and give these guys that I've stacked up here for you a wash and then put them away. And before I do that, I wanted to show them to you, not necessarily before I wash them, but before I put them away for the summer, because I have the feeling that I will not be the one to pull them all out when it's very hot to sit in front of a camera with a pile of sweaters in my lap and show them to you. So I didn't want to wait until fall, because maybe you want to get inspired, before then, as to patterns, oldies but goodies that have been out there for a while that you might want to cast on or pick back up if you have one of those sweaters on your needles and they've been in hibernation. Maybe that might be a motivation for you to keep on working on them and show them some love over the next month. Or you just are transitioning into winter and you are in that mindset already of knitting sweaters, warm sweaters, and gearing up for the cold season. So I can quickly introduce myself if it's your first time here on my channel. My name is Catherine. I am coming to you from the north of Germany, which is where I live with my husband and our 3 kids. We live in an old farmhouse that we've just moved into about a half a year ago, and we are settling in. We're still in the middle of our move because we're still renovating quite a lot, but we're still settling in just fine. We've had a crazy week. And it was a rough one because in our immediate neighborhood, a house burnt down. So that was, well, absolutely devastating to watch and to imagine, the desperation of that family. We have then, after that experience, over the days that immediately followed, really thrown ourselves into garden work to spend much time outdoors with the kids over the weekend, and so that we could all soak up the sun and just do something, because it was weird settling back into a rhythm after we had witnessed that at the end of last week. So yeah, and in that vein, I want to use this time that I have for podcasting now to connect with you and to, highlight those many beautiful memories attached to these garments. To me, this is a form of a sort of housemaking, in the face of that devastation that we've just witnessed as a family. And I've been so thankful for my own home and for just those things that you take for granted. Being able to come home through your front door or wherever it is that you enter your home and have your stuff, your belongings, your essential belongings. And so I felt inspired to sit down here and share with you, one of those, one category of the items that I've made over the last years. And looking back, I also wrote down the years in which I made them, and it occurred to me I haven't been a garment knitter for that long. Interestingly enough, it's now what I really would identify as a garment knitter, but this journey has been short as compared to my knitting journey overall, which I started knitting when I was 7, so over 30 years ago, or 6, 7, something like that. Anyway, so here we go. I am going to start with my oldest, I want to quickly tell you what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Saturday Shrug, which is a free pattern by Jackie Rose of Caddy Jack's Knits, right? She has different shrugs. Don't tell me what the difference is, but this I think is the Saturday Shrug. And I knit this at the end of last year out of scrap yarn, which probably you can tell. These are all the stripes. So I think the first and the last color are repeats. And this one, yeah. So the blue is always a repeat. Anyway, if you want to know more about this, I can try and link the episode in which I talk about this make in particular. But it's, I don't remember now the needle size. I think it was a 4mm needle. Anyway, so it was a fairly quick knit, despite the fact that it's all ribbing. And you're supposed to just put it on over whatever it is that you're wearing for exactly weather like we have today, where it's kind of warm but not so warm. It can get chilly, but also it might not. You can just pull this over. You're bundled up and warm, but not too much, right? This would not be enough for winter, except if you pull this like over your like a blazer or something, which I've seen Jackie do, but I haven't tried that. So this is how I wear it now, with just a very basic long sleeve, something not too substantial underneath. And yeah, that's the Saturday Shrug. And now I'm going to move into my actual winter wardrobe. So the first item, it seems, the first real winter sweater, I should say, because I've made other sweaters. Not all of them have survived, but I think the first actual really warm item that I knit was back in 2017. This is where I have my notes, so I'm gonna look down a lot, I'm afraid. Yeah, it was in 2017. So back when I was the mother of one. So that seems a lifetime ago, as does the making of this garment. And this is quite big. This is a cardigan made out of scrap yarn. So that accounts for the look I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to say a little bit more. Here goes. This is how I wear it, right? So I had a whole lot of scraps at the time. And I mean, as you do. And I knew I was not going to use most of them for anything else. And I wasn't in that scrap blanket knitting phase of my life yet. So I saw I think it was a blog post or something by someone in Germany called Lutilda, which I don't know if she's still active or not. I didn't follow that. But Lutilda had a sort of self-drafted cardigan with just very little sort of shaping up here. So this would actually be somewhere around here, right? And she had knitted in her size, which was super small, like size 36 or even smaller. And put it up as a free pattern, just with her instructions, like what she did on the internet. And I just for some reason felt inspired to knit my own version, but scrappy. And that's what I did here. So it's knit in pieces. So you have the front panels, both of them, the back panel, just much bigger, of course. Plus it's an oversized cardigan. And then you have the sleeves. And I knit them, it looks like a little bit of a bell sleeve, but I really just knit them straight. But with the fabric being quite heavy, they stretched. Anyway, so I used up all of my scraps, and I don't know, I think my idea was to always hold a gray. So either this one or this darker gray, or even at the hem, I went for black alpaca. No, this is alpaca. This is just another sort of black or very dark blue yarn. And then together with a different color. So this purple, this blue. Oh, hold on. Now this is the very dark color is the contrasting, because I'm holding the gray and together with another color. And then I had this brighter red, and when I ran out of gray, I just got a yarn ball in a very light pink. Maybe you can see the difference. And I attached that because I really did not care for the variation. In fact, it enhanced the scrappy look, which is why I embraced it even more. So that's kind of what I did. And I attached the pieces, and I did not knit the sleeves separately and attach them, even if I kind of said that before, but that was wrong. I picked up stitches along the armhole once I'd attached the other pieces, and then just knit them so as to avoid the seam, right? And just kept going. And there is ribbing here, but it doesn't really show because it's, I think because it's a heavy fabric. I always held the gray double with a different color, like I said, and I did not worry too much about yarn weight. I just mixed things together as I saw fit, but they're all sort of in the same wheelhouse. But then this blue is a bit more of a decay, I would say, that I used here, whereas on the hem here I used a black alpaca yarn that is much finer, but it worked out fine. And that is one cardigan that I have been wearing for over those years. I mean, it's so big that I could wear it when I was pregnant, because I've been heavily pregnant in winter twice. So that was good, even though this doesn't have any buttons or anything. But I used to just really pull it, over and could sort of cross it over on my belly when I was sitting, at least. So that was a really cozy piece. And I discovered, but I didn't use it as a cardigan that I throw on and then walk outdoors, because I think that the sleeves are really big. They tended to be, I don't like very big sleeves. They tend to be in my way a lot, but it used to be on my couch so that in the evening I might just grab it, put it on and bundle up in it. And so I really used it as a cozy piece at home. I cannot tell you what this stitch is. So I just followed the pattern, whatever it said. It's been 7 years, so I don't remember. But I also don't remember the needle size, but it must have been like 5 millimeters or something. And yeah, that's my really oversized cardigan that is very warm and just like a blanket you put on. And that's what I've been using it for, sort of. So that is item number 1. I haven't worn it this winter, I don't think, but last winter it used to be on my couch and I had it on quite a lot. So my second winter sweater that I made and that was in 2018, is my Ziri pullover. And I see now that it's beginning to felt a little bit, and I hope you can still see the stitch and the pattern that it creates. I'm going to hold it up and then I'm going to explain. See? You will have seen this sweater if you've been an active knitter in like 2017, 18, 19, which is when this was very trendy. I knit this pattern out of Direro Natura Gilead, an amazing yarn. I have recommended it before and I'm surely going to do it again. I could not recommend it more. It's a non-superwash yarn, but you can wear it next to skin, like really with nothing underneath. It is so soft yet sturdy. It's amazing. It's really amazing. It's a yarn that can do everything. I have worn this without a shirt underneath and it's been perfect. No itch, no scratch, and not because I'm not such a sensitive person for that, but nothing I could have imagined would give anyone a scratch. No, everybody's different, but I just want to emphasize how amazing this yarn is. So if you've got the chance to get your mitts on some yarn balls of De Rerum Natura Gilead, oh my goodness, then by all means, do try it out. You will not regret it. I'm pretty positive you will not regret it. So the pattern, I'm gonna have to take my notebook up for this little bit. So the pattern is by Linnea Öhman, which I didn't say. I knit the size medium and I knit it on a 4mm needle. The colorway is Plume, and I did use 5 skeins, 5 yarn balls for this sweater. The sleeves are perfect. I don't mind it that they're not too baggy on me. I enjoy tight sleeves. I really do. I also enjoy not so tight sleeves. I just don't love bell sleeves. So when there's too much fabric here on my wrist, that's what makes me nervous. But not nervous, but what gets in my way. But tight sleeves, I love those. The only thing with this sweater, no, there are 2 things with this sweater. I mean, the color, if you ask me, is really perfection. But I should have raised the back a little bit more, because you do get a cold neck in this one. Either you're gonna have to wear something turtlenecky underneath, or to constantly wear a scarf or a shawl or something, but then I find myself, you know, tucking and adjusting. I should have just added a little bit, and I am toying with the idea of just knitting a little extra with the same yarn, you know, and just on the back, adding on and giving this a little bit of height, maybe 2 centimeters at 1.5. Yeah, that might be good. I'll see. And the other thing is, I'm gonna hold it up and you're gonna see what I'm talking about, and then I'll explain. See, it flares out like crazy. So this, hold on, what's happening here? What is happening here? Oh, see, it should go in a little bit at the bottom. I mean, hence the ribbing, but it doesn't. I don't know why. I wrote down just 1 needle size, so maybe it didn't go down a needle size. That would be weird. So this was knit on a 4mm, which is what? A US size 6. I can't imagine that I really did not go down a needle size, but then again, God knows, this was years ago. Maybe it didn't. Anyway, it flares out. I never ripped back. I think now it's a little bit too late for that. I should have done that earlier because it's beginning to really felt, which is okay. It's what yarn does, but how does this look? There's fluff all over my sweater. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it now. Also, I'm not going to snip it off and knit it on and anything like that, because I don't really care that much. I've worn it the way it is, but I do realize, and it's fine, but I do realize that the shape is a little bit, well, not perfect. But then again, it doesn't have to be. So that is my, I'm sorry, so that is my Ziri sweater. And it's been fun to knit this pattern, even though it was a little hard on my hands because all of those stitches are, you know, twists to somewhere. And that was a yoke I couldn't race through, but it was very enjoyable to knit, and I think it is a beautiful pattern. It was quite the hype at the time, but I still see why. So yeah, that is sweater number 2. My third sweater is my lemongrass, and I'm gonna tell you the facts before I'm going to show you. No, hold on. No, I'm skipping ahead. So my next one is one that I've talked about a lot on the podcast because I've worn it a lot on the podcast. It's one that I did not have to pull out of my closet, but just from my chair because I've been wearing it last week, I would say. So it's the Cold Breath by Joji Locatelli. I knit it in 2018 in the size medium, and the needle size was 4 and 5 millimeters. So 5 for the body and 4 for things that had to be tighter. So that would translate into a size 6 and 8 in the States. And you will have seen this before if you've been here for any amount of time, because I love the sweater so much. So this is my, what now? Cold breath. I have my sleeves rolled up. I'm not going to wear it again now and put it on because you will have seen this, but I don't know if you can see anything the way that I'm showing it to you. But so this is my sweater, and it's got this detail on the shoulder. Hold on. This big braid. And I've done quite a messy job, if you can tell, picking up stitches for the braid, thankfully in the back instead of the front, so that I don't ever see it, so I don't care. I've said it before that I just honestly do not care because I love the sweater so much. There is nothing that could make the sweater less of a favorite for me. And you put up the neck, no, what's it called? Yeah, the neck, like this. And there you go. And I think it's a dream come true. It's a pattern I would run for in the store if I saw it anywhere on sale, and I wear it so much. I think it's my favorite sweater that I've ever made. Of all of the categories of sweaters, like also the lighter weight ones. I think so, yeah. Anyway, so this is the Cold Breath, made entirely out of Cascade 220. I've said this before, so I'm going to be quick about this. I bought this purple skein, this pink, and this blue that I used at the very bottom in Germany, in Hamburg. And I got the other 4 colors, so the heathered ones, this blue, or teal, this purpley blue, and the purple in New York at Knitty City when I was there 10 years ago. Can you believe that? I mean, you don't care, but I cannot believe it that it's been 10 years that I've been there, you know? I spent a summer in New York in New York City, that is, for research purposes for my PhD. And it was a beautiful time. It was an exciting time. But how can it be 10 years ago? How can it have been 10 years ago that I was there? It's just so amazing to me and so shocking. And I feel really very old when I say this, and also when I think about like how long ago it's been. And I feel like one of those ladies that I've you know, as a young person, met, you know, friends of my parents, or even my mother, they would have said, oh yeah, I went to that city like 12 years ago. It was the last time that the last time I went to Florence was 12 years ago. And I would think, as a 15 or 20-year-old, oh mom, so then it's like you've never been, you know? Why don't you say you've never been there? Because 10 years ago, I mean, this is a lifetime. And now I see how 10 years are over like that. I mean, my oldest son is turning 9 this summer. How is this even possible? I don't know, but I you know, spent the summer in New York 10 years ago, and this is still the best keepsake, the best souvenir I could have ever brought home. And I love the yarn so much. It's a delight to wear. It was beautiful to knit with. It comes in so many amazing colors. I think the heather tones especially are just very beautiful. As you can imagine, as you can tell, I've worn this a lot, but it does not felt except for the blue and the purple. They're beginning to felt. With the purple, it's kind of good because it gives me a little bit more warmth up in the neck area. But the others are just so, I mean, really like I've just knit them this season, you know. It's incredible. This is a beautiful yarn. It's a beautiful pattern by Howie Lucatelli. She even includes little ruffles here on the arm so that it looks like you've pushed up your sleeve a bit. It's a beautiful pattern. Yeah, I can only, oh man, what am I doing here? This is not working at all. There. I can only recommend it if you're looking for a fun, engaging, quick pattern because it's knit on huge needles. So yeah, I can really, really, really recommend this, and that might just be the yarn for you. Next up is another Joji Locatelli. It's my lemongrass sweater. So now that I'm already maneuvering it, I can show you the sweater, and then I'm going to tell you my stats, my hard facts about this item. Oops. Oops. Again, I rolled up the sleeves because I made them a little bit too long probably. And see, there's a fun, how do you call that? Design element. Hello. So I put buttons here, and if you open them, that's the only way these pieces are attached, right? So you can wear it as a poncho, sort of. So, and that is why I decided in favor of this piece, and I'm going to tell you in a second. So this is the lemongrass sweater by Joji Locatelli, which I also knit in 2020. What am I saying also? I knit this in 2020. The other was 2018. And it uses a host of colors because I am holding yarns double. So the gray is again, the gray that I'm holding throughout the entire pattern is again Die Rerum Natura Gilead in the colorway Goland, G-O-E Land. And I used 4.2 skeins of that, so that's what I wrote down, having looked it up on Ravelry. So good 4 skeins. It was knit on a size needle. It doesn't say. Oh, it does say 6mm. So that would be, what did I say just now? 6mm. That would be a US size 10. So big needles. Holding the Gilead double with a little bit of a smaller yarn weight. Is that how you say that? It doesn't matter. And the other colors are, so the lighter ones and this purpley berry toned one are both a Homespun House, her MCN base, so a fingering weight yarn, her merino cashmere nylon, I think, in the velvet colorway for this plum color, and her, what's the other, heart-shaped box for, and I'm going to hold this up close, this speckly version of, you know, with greens and yellows and pinks and blues, sort of. I'm going to hold it up close. Hold on. There you go. I hope you could see that. Oh, right here. I mean, this is just so gorgeous. Right there. Oops. So beautiful. It is beautiful. And I like how, I really enjoy how the speckles come out in the braid. See? I hope you can see that. So it is really beautiful. It is really warm, also because of the turtleneck. But as you can tell, I was running out of yarn. So I needed another skein of the heart-shaped box because I had 2 of the heart-shaped box and 1 of the velvet colorway. I purchased them together because I thought they looked good together, and they do. But I never intended to substitute one with the other, you know? And when I realized I was gonna need a third, and I mean, what was I thinking? I just went for it. It was kind of obvious that it was not gonna be enough, but well. I reached out to Molly of a Homespun House and asked whether she was gonna be able to dye more of that colorway, I'm sorry. And she said, no, it's discontinued. There's nothing left. And So I went looking for it, but nobody was destashing it, and I posted online, but nobody had anything. So I figured if I want to continue this, I'm gonna have to just make a decision and go for a sort of a scrappy look, for lack of a better word now, but I'm gonna have to just replace the one color with the other. And I went ahead and just used the one that I had because I thought it's no use buying something that's not going to be a good match, and also I didn't want to try and get another light. So this was a light gray color with all sorts of speckles. There are plenty of those out there, but if in theory they would all blend, but when you start mixing them up, it may look funny, I thought. So it might be a better idea to really like break with that color and insert something else entirely. And I think it works well for the collar, right? And for the ribbing that goes all around the front and back piece. This is really heavy. So it does make sense that this is knit in a different color because it's such an, it's so set off, you know, from the actual main body of the sweater. But I'm, until this day, not really happy with the sleeves, with the marling. I mean, I don't love the marling effect of it. I really don't, so that there are blotches of just gray and then a lot of purple, like on the back. Like up here. I know it's not that I don't like it, but it's not my favorite, right? And I would just love it if I just had enough for this little bit to transition into just the cuffs. By the way, those are really long, like they will really be quite long, and this is incredibly comfortable. But often when I just do housework, I will just roll them up. But I'm that sort of person that needs their sleeves long, you know, really to hug my hand and not just, and I mean this because it's a thing I just wear underneath. But if this were my sweater, I would really always want to add on and, you know, add a little bit of fabric. But it's very warm, and it was used for nursing twice in my year when I had winter babies because it's perfect. You can just unbutton and pull the entire front piece up and also snuggle your kid under it so it's nice and warm. It was the perfect sweater for that. I still wear it now. It's very warm. You have to wear it when it's really cold, and then it's a perfect piece. So, and I mean really cold in Germany. No. Everything just fell. Hold on. Everything just fell. Maybe it wasn't a good idea building a pile next to where I'm sitting. And here I go, trying to do it again. The logistics of filming a podcast and managing your garments. Okay. Up next is my weekender, which I knit in 2020. So at the onset of the pandemic. My local yarn store, and I think many yarn stores across the world, because it was not a yarn store thing, but it was a Brooklyn Tweed thing, right? They provided a 20% discount for any Brooklyn Tweed yarn. And they would be reimbursed by Brooklyn Tweed. I think that's how it worked, because they wanted to, well, they wanted to provide people with yarn for, you know, all the time we spent at home. And well, get their yarn out there, right? But I was very grateful for that opportunity because I'd been kind of dancing around Brooklyn Tweed for a while. That's not true because I had some at the time that I made my Wool and Honey out of, which I'm going to show you in a second. But about the Brooklyn Tweed shelter for this sweater, for the weekender. Yeah, that's what I'd really been eyeing for quite some time. And at that point I thought, okay, that's the signs that I needed, so I'm going to buy that. That is the sign that I needed. I'm going to buy a sweater's quantity, and I used 8 skeins of Brooklyn Tweed shelter in the newsprint colorway, and this is what it looks like. again, rolled up sleeves. Seems to be what I do all the time. But you see, so this is reverse stockinette with this stripe going down the middle as a sort of marker design piece of that sweater. And then the sleeves are in stockinette. So with that yarn, it's not as stark of a contrast, but you can see here, right? Well, there are many things to say about this. First, I knit size 3, if you can imagine, because this is, I mean, it wouldn't fit me like this, but almost folded in half. And so there must have been something going on with gauge. But then again, I don't really think so, because it's not a big gauge that I'm looking at. Weird. This was weird, because this was one of the yarns that stretched so much with the soak. And it's happened to me with non-superwash yarns that they grow when you soak them. Really, not all the time, and sometimes not at all, but sometimes like crazy. And I don't know what it is. Because it's supposed to be the other way around, that the non-superwash yarns don't grow and the superwash yarns do, and they do, and they continue to grow with wear, which woolly wool non-superwash yarn doesn't really. But it's happened to me several times on completely different projects that my non-superwash yarn grew so much that like in this case, I cannot account for the fact that this is the size that I actually produced. I don't know how this happened. And in another situation, I knit a hat, and it grew so much. Like when I was knitting it, I had issues pulling it over my head. And when I was done, I wanted to gift it to my brother. It was so big on him that it was a joke. It really was ridiculous. And I did not know what to do with that. And I ended up just gifting it, but I don't even know to whom. I think I just put it in a to be gifted box on the sidewalk. I think that's what I ended up doing, because it was ridiculous how big it had become. I don't know. Let me know if this has ever happened to you with non-superwash yarns. And this is such a mystery to me, because it's not supposed to happen. But then again, so many things are not supposed to happen. They happen all the time. But I don't know if there's anything that I did wrong, but I wouldn't know what, you know. But if you have any suggestions or experience with that, please do let me know in the comment section. Anyway, the needle sizes are 4.5, 5, and 5.5. Now, don't ask me why I had an interim size. So one for the body, one for the cuffs. That makes sense. I don't know. Oh, maybe the sleeves were knit on the smaller. I don't know. So the 4.5 would translate into the US 7, and the 5.5 into the US 9. So I think those were essentially the needles that I used. And yeah, I told you about the color. I'm just assuming you know the Weekender pattern. It's a, what's this called? Boat neck? I don't know. Like a very wide neck. And I used to close it even more. I mean, this is where my shoulders end, and this is where where the sweater ends. So it would constantly slide off one shoulder, and I closed it up, I think an additional centimeter and a half on each side. So something in the neighborhood of 1/2 inch. And that helped. But on the one hand, it's a very warm sweater. It's beautiful to knit with, beautiful to wear. The yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It's a fun and, well, I want to say engaging knit. It's not engaging really, but it's a quick knit. It's an unproblematic knit. And then you have this little bit of interest when you add your, what is it, tubular bind off, I think, that you have to stitch. And I enjoyed making it. I do enjoy wearing it, but yeah, it's another piece that I could easily fit over my pregnancy bellies. And I do now enjoy the look of tight pants with a very oversized sweater. It's something I'm very comfortable in, and I like the look of, but it would be nice if it weren't as oversized. I considered ripping it back, but I think it's felted enough so that I mean, not much, but just a little bit, which is just what wool does. But I don't think it would making the ripping back fun or even very practical. And then also the reknitting of that yarn wouldn't be nice. So I figured, and also I'm going to link that episode where I think I've talked about this. I'm going to look it up and link it for you somewhere up here. If you're interested in my thoughts on multiple weekenders, because I eventually figured I'm just going to knit another one and accept that this is what it is. And it's got its place. It's got lots of memories attached because I knit this during a pregnancy. And it's a sweater I enjoy wearing. Just not all the time of everything, but that is totally okay because it doesn't at all have to be that. So I tried knitting another weekender in a completely different yarn, but that wasn't working. It wasn't that long ago, so maybe you've seen it on the channel. That didn't work out at all. And I decided to frog it when I was at the point of, casting on the sleeves. So that was a bummer, but I am going to repurpose that yarn and hold it together with another one and see where that takes me with regards to another weekender. I'll keep you posted about that, however, because that is in the future. Maybe this is something I'm going to start this fall. I don't know. But I don't think I'm going to do that any sooner. But then again, who knows? Just, you will hear about another weekender sometime in the future. And this is another to go on my pile. And then the last sweater that I have on my pile of winter sweaters is my Wool and Honey sweater that I finished this winter, but last year, in November or December, I don't know, something in that neighborhood. I knit a size small on a 2.5 and 3 millimeter, on a 2.5 and 3 millimeter size needle. So it's the US size 1.5 and 2.5. And I used 6 skeins of the Brooklyn Tweed Loft yarn in the colorway Thistle. Okay, there you go. You will have seen this, but I'm going to show you anyway because I am very much in love with that sweater. I mean, the color is perfect. The yarn is perfect. It was a joy to knit with. It's a joy to wear. It's warm. I think it's beautiful. The shaping is amazing. I don't have the problem with the neck being too low on this one because it really goes up. That's also an issue with the weekender because it's knit the same front and back, on both pieces. So yeah, I love this much more. I enjoy a round yoke. The pattern was incredibly fun to knit. I had a moment where I needed to figure out what I'm supposed to do, but once I figured it out, man, it was a joy. And you can really see, obviously, as you knit, you can see the pattern come together. So you knit top down, and beautiful. Also, I'm taking a class in beekeeping, and I'm going to be a beekeeper. I don't think this year, but next year. So for the next season, meaning next spring, I hope to get my own bees, and could not be more perfect. I didn't even know that when I cast on the sweater because it goes that far back. Yeah, I love the sleeve construction, that it really comes together. I mean, it's stretched a bit now because I've worn it so much, but it comes together so much after this sort of poofy sleeve. And this is also oversized. I'm a loose knitter, right? I mean, that is a given in all of this. But I don't know how my loose knitting accounts for this oversized weekender. it does make sense how it does almost make sense how it accounts for this sweater, but it's a size small and it's really wide. I don't think that's how it's intended, but it worked out for me, so I'm not going to complain. If you need to know more about the Wool and Honey sweater, well, need to, I mean, you're welcome. If you want to know more about the Wool and Honey, please check out older videos or my Ravelry page. Oh, and yes, man, I should have said that in the beginning. I'm linking my Ravelry page, my Instagram, my everything where you can find me, message me, and look up patterns. Under this video where there is an arrow where it says more, and you click on that, and then the entire menu will, you know, pull up, and you can click on active links and get places. So yeah, that's my Wool and Honey. You've seen it quite a lot of times if you've been here before, but I don't get tired of wearing this and showing this. And yeah, so that is almost, there's one sweater over there because then it would fall again, but this is almost my entire stack. You can definitely see a color palette, but I stand by that because that is, I think it's so fun to see people's color palettes once you pull out a handful of garments, you know, from their closet, and then you can tell, oh, okay, that's what they like to wear and that's what they feel comfortable in. Yeah, my favorites are definitely my Wool and Honey and my Cold Breath. So the one that I knit in Cascade 220, those are my favorites in my wardrobe overall. They're amongst the top, well, 3 or 4 for sure. And also in my winter wardrobe, they're the definite winners. I've worn them all winter long, more or less, with others interspersed, but that for sure. But those are the, well, really my favorite candidates on a daily basis. And they're so versatile, so you can really wear them for almost everything. They're amazing. I am thinking of knitting another Wool and Honey, and I have something in my eye, and I've thought about colors. I would love to go for a mustard yellow, but it's really not going to work for me. So I won't, but I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I know will just not be comfortable wearing it because I'm going to look sickly in it. That is just the way it is. But yeah, I have my eye on a color, but that is going to be sometime in the future. Not now. It's not going to be an immediate cast on. So, but that's future. That's a future plan. I want another weekender, like I said, and Andrea Mowry has the crew neck version out, right? So the new weekender version is in DK with the crew neck, and it's got pockets on the front. And in the beginning I thought, oh, I can create a sort of a mashup of her different weekender patterns, but then I figured it might be better to just follow her instructions and knit one weekender, like her weekender crew neck in DK weight with pockets or without, but I like pockets, and not mess with it too much. So that's what I'm going to do. Another sweater I want to add to my collection is it's a cardigan. It's the Big Cozy Cardigan, or a Big Cozy Cardi, also by Andrea Mowry, which has been on my list and on my mind from the moment that I first saw the pattern coming out, and the day it came out, or the day before. When I got her newsletter, I thought, goodness me, this has to become part of my wardrobe. And I cannot tell you how often I've, pondered different color combinations and thought about different ways to go with color combinations. I'm still undecided, and I'm not on the brink of casting on, so I haven't purchased the yarn. That means I still have time to make up my mind, and I don't have to have anything set in stone yet. But this is a project that is absolutely going to happen. I'm looking at my notes. Another sweater I want to make for my sort of winter sweater collection is out of the Rauwerk yarn that I have bought at a yarn show last year, yeah, in summer, out of, again, jewel toned blues, purpley reds, and a third color, probably a purple or maybe a gray, that I want to make into a winter sweater. It's very special yarn. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And for that reason, I haven't cast it on yet, because I don't really know that I found the right pattern. And maybe it probably, obviously, wasn't the right moment, because eventually things fall into place and you will find your pattern for your yarn, or vice versa, and you have the momentum and you just get going, you know, and the day is going to come. So those are the things I'm still planning on adding to my winter wardrobe, to my winter sweaters collection, if you will. I'm sure other ideas will follow. Other projects will also, you know, demand to be knit up. But that's sort of what's on my horizon for now. And yeah, I think it's time to grab my beauties and sign off, right? So now how do I cradle them all? I don't want to go. Oh, man. There you go. Such joy. So there you go. I'm going to hold them like a bouquet so you can see and enjoy my little collection right here. So I hope this has been a fun episode for you. Please do let me know if there's a sweater pattern for winter sweater that you think should not be missing from my collection, from my wardrobe, or from my list of patterns that I desperately want to cast on. So if you have recommendations, please do leave them there. Or else, you know, if you have a favorite winter sweater pattern, just tell me what that is, regardless of whether you think I should necessarily knit it or not. I'm very interested in just getting inspired and seeing what else is out there, because there's always so much out there beyond your own horizon, right? And with that, man, I'm going to sign off. Take care. Happy transitioning into fall and winter, if that's what's happening where you are right now. And happy knitting overall, whichever project it is that you're pulling out now. If you're into springy, summery projects or heavier, more substantial ones. I mean, I finished this sweater, and I think this one and another sweater, all in the month of August of 2020. They had all accumulated before, and I was in a moment of, I need to get these off my needles, and was a crazy sweater knitting person for, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. That was beautiful. It was so much fun. I'm a person who really likes to knit sweaters over summer, so maybe the same goes for you. Anyway, so I'm really going to sign off now. Take care, happy knitting, and I hope to talk to you again next week.